Buenas noches a todos, amigos. ¿Cómo están? You guys are probably wondering, what is this dude doing? Why is he speaking gibberish? Now, the most of you are probably wondering, what is he doing? The minority of you are probably wondering, oh, he's speaking Spanish. Let me tell you a little bit of the reasons that I started my speech that way. I was given the opportunity to speak Spanish, to serve a full-time church mission among the Hispanic people in Chicago. It was an excellent opportunity for me to learn and grow, and not only did I learn and grow, spiritually, but I was also able to learn and grow and be able to take on a challenge of learning a second language. Right at first, I thought, man, how am I going to be able to do this? I went out there, I picked up speaking pretty quick, but I could not understand a thing. It was quite difficult for me. But obviously, I was able to learn and persevere through that and endure through it, and I ended up having an awesome time doing so and was able to learn a lot, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity that I had to learn a second language. I've been able to utilize it. I've been home for about 3 years now, and I haven't had a ton of opportunities to speak Spanish in those 3 years, but during those 2 years, and even after, I've been given some opportunity, not as much as I would like, but I've had opportunities to speak it, utilize it, and it's just been a great experience overall. So obviously my speech today is going to be about learning a second language. I'm going to inform you, but hopefully more so persuade you to take on a challenge. By the end of it, I hope you guys are excited and look forward to taking on a challenge of learning a second language, despite the difficulty, despite the trial that it might be. It's not easy, but I certainly know and can guarantee you that it is something that's worth it, and will be able to provide you with some great benefits, and the pros will certainly outweigh the cons, and hope by the end of this that I'll be able to persuade you to take on that challenge, as I mentioned before, and learn a second language. Now, I'd like to begin with a few statistics. Numbers are great. It kind of helps us put things into perspective, and although we're just a singular person, a single individual, we can make a difference in the world by doing these kinds of things, and it's something that we all like to take on a challenge and learn and grow and become better, be able to reach our full potential. So, numbers wise, out of the billions of people in the world, over half of the world's population know a second language. Some of them are trilingual, but most of them, 56% is the actual number, percentage wise, are bilingual, so they know a second language. And this was actually quite a kind of shocking statistic for me. I guess it never really dawned on me that over half of the world's population know a second language. So obviously it proved to me right away, wow, this must be something pretty important, and obviously persuaded me if I hadn't learned a language, just that number in itself would have been like, hey, this is something you should do. It's something beneficial. There's obviously a reason people are doing it. The pros outweigh the cons, and as I go throughout this speech, I hope that some of these numbers and the reasonings will be able to persuade you to take on that challenge, as I mentioned before. So out of the 56% of the world's population, I was wondering, well, what about America? It was a little bit less. It was about 21%, so just over 1 in 5 people in the U.S., American citizens, know a second language. And that, it kind of shocked me. Didn't really, but kind of shocked me. I was hoping it'd be a little bit higher, but it was still a pretty neat statistic, being able to be the minority, as myself. But so those are some of the numbers that really stood out to me. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the pros and cons. Obviously every decision in our life, we're human beings. We oftentimes like to make sure things are beneficial for us. We like to make sure that, well, by me doing this, is it going to be worth it in the end for me? What do I get out of it? You might be able to call that selfish reasoning, but oftentimes in life, it's important for us to learn and grow, strive to reach our own full potential, become the men and women that we have the potential of becoming. So it's important to often ask yourself that question, well, what do I get out of it? So I'm going to discuss some of the pros and cons. As I was doing my research, it talked a lot about the workplace. It was quite interesting being able to see, and think back of how many people with the different jobs that I've had, thinking of the different people who were bilingual, and some of the kind of cutting edge, or the advantages that they had over people who might have not been bilingual. I'll discuss some of those things. Obviously being able to know a second language, you're able to interact, communicate, respond in different ways, understand others, whether it's other coworkers, whether it's your boss, whether it's the employee, or the clientele or the customers. Being able to be bilingual and understand where they're coming from, maybe understanding their culture, just being able to simply communicate and be on that same page is a huge advantage that I have been able to see personally being bilingual. But before my mission, I was able to see that, before I was bilingual. And it kind of made me jealous. So, standing here right now, I am grateful that I was able to learn a second language, and it definitely has been beneficial to me. Another advantage I want to talk about is being able to understand other people. Not necessarily communication, like being able to understand their language, understanding cultures. Every language, being able to serve among the Hispanic, population, the Hispanic people, they have a very different culture than Caucasians here in America, or anywhere in the world for that matter. Different cultures, being able to understand their culture, join their culture, be a part of it, be able to, see where they're coming from, know what it's like, and being able to do that has been a huge advantage. And that's obviously because you're able to learn a second language. You're able to understand where the language comes from, the reason they say the things they do, the way they interact. It's a great advantage. So those are some of the pros and some of the pros. There's really not any cons to the matter of learning a second language, rather than sacrificing the time to do so. One of the greatest quotes I've ever heard in my life is nothing good in life comes easy. Essentially what it's saying is, if there's something that's good, beneficial, something that adds to your life, oftentimes it's not going to be an easy thing to obtain. It's going to require work. It's going to require you to do your part. And that's something like, learning a second language is certainly a great example of that. Learning a second language isn't necessarily an easy thing. It requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of sacrifice. It requires a lot of hard work, but it certainly is something that pays off. And I've been able to see that personally. There's a lot of things that we do in this life, and a lot of time that we put towards things, whether it's just simply scrolling on Facebook on your phone, or becoming better at a sport, which is great too. But learning a language is a second language has certainly been something that's been beneficial and provided me with some great things in my life. In conclusion, I feel like it's been a great opportunity. As I mentioned before, it's been difficult at times, but there certainly are ways that it provides a leg up, for lack of a better term. You're able to advance in many ways that you might not be able to, if you don't know a second language. Being bilingual, at least bilingual, is an excellent thing. It provides you with some great benefits in the workplace, as I mentioned before, and just overall in life, you're able to communicate, understand, language, communication as well, obviously, but also cultures. So to wrap things up, as I mentioned before, it's not easy. Nothing in life comes easy, but it certainly has been something that's paid off, and I'm very, very grateful for that I've been able to learn a second language and continue exercising that language, continue speaking it and finding ways to speak it, finding opportunities to speak it. It's been a great thing. So in the end, I want to leave you all with a challenge to go out, sacrifice, find a second language, whether it's Spanish, Mandarin. Some of those are the two, and English, obviously. Those are the three largest languages spoken in the world. So I leave you guys with a challenge to go out, find a second language to learn, and work towards that and reap the benefits of doing so. Thank you.